And welcome into the Rob and Kale Show. I'm Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us this evening. My buddy Carolina Jackpot is under the weather this evening, so he will not be joining us. But knock out a show here for you. We got several things that we're going to get into, including the fallout from the CFP first round games, which, let's be honest, all of them were laughable, to say the least. I posted something about, and I've said this for a long time, the idea that you could play an SEC schedule and think, hey, if I go 11-1 in an SEC schedule, that means I've done something and I should be in the playoffs, right? Well, we showed yesterday that the team that was the third best from the ACC that couldn't even compete in the championship game went into Texas A&M and beat them. Now, it's not an indictment on the SEC. It's not an indictment on A&M. It's an indictment on the mindset of the people who make decisions in college football. So it's a mess. And I'm sure that at some point tonight we'll get the Miami folks in here and they'll be like, hey, we did our part, blah, blah, blah. Miami is cannon fodder for Ohio State. Carson Beck threw for 105 yards. You see what I'm saying? It is an absolute mess that it came down to that. And what's even worse is the people that will still defend what happened with the playoff thing. When you look at A&M's schedule, they had 11 wins on the season. And in conference, they didn't beat any team that was ranked at the end of the season. I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now. They beat Notre Dame on the road, which we were told, hey, Notre Dame's not valid. But, hey, they did beat them on the road. No one else on their schedule finished the season ranked that they got a win over. They lost by double digits to Texas. So when it comes down to it, in the end, these first round games ended up being just garbage. I know that sounds silly. Ryan Cawthorn says, you call Miami's coach Big Chest, Jackpot does, or some nonsense. Miami would beat Clemson by 21. Well, we don't live in a vacuum where that can happen, sir. So we don't really know for sure. So, just that's like saying we can dream up whatever we want to dream up here. We don't know for sure. And look, I think that Miami's a better team than Clemson is, but the adage that Miami is just this stopgap great team. Makaima V8 says, I owe you an apology. No, I don't. Fuck you and your team. I'm not apologizing to you. I hope your Christmas ham is burnt. Your macaroni and cheese has broccoli in it. Whatever else you can think of. I hope Santa Claus comes to your house and shits in the chimney. I don't give a shit about your team. So anyway, I did hate on Miami all year. I still don't like Miami. They're going to get their teeth kicked in later on. I still don't think Cristobal is a good coach. So, completely wrong about everything. Okay, we can go over the list of things that I've been right about. Like last season when I called you a joke and you went and lost to Syracuse. I was wrong about that. Yeah, okay. I have great accountability when I'm wrong about something. Congratulations for beating an overrated Texas A&M team. Good job. Anyway, we're going to bring Parrot into the program here. If we can get my StreamYard's acting silly this evening.
Don't open the umbrella in the house.
You're not good. Stop thinking you're good, Makaima. You're not good. Your quarterback threw for 100 yards in the game. You're not good. Parrot, welcome to the show.
What's going on, Rob? Your StreamYard's acting up.
Oh, Parrot.
I can you hear me?
Why do I not hear Parrot?
You
What's
don't
going
hear me?
on there? Stand by. All right, Parrot, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
All right. Anyway, Parrot, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, buddy. What you got?
Nothing really. Your StreamYard's acting up.
I just said that. What you got for
Yeah.
the show?
Yeah. I thought the two games, the A&M Miami game was good. I thought the Oklahoma Alabama game was good, but the two Power Four and Group of Five games, those should have never happened. I think it's time for the committee, not the committee, but the commissioners and the athletic director of Notre Dame to restructure the playoffs and get rid of the Group of Fives and add a 16-team playoff.
Um, I don't know. I like the idea of having four teams, four teams, and that's it.
I
But
don't. I like 16. 16
well,
is the magic number.
then 16 is when you're going to have these awful games here that you say you don't like. If we have just the four, which by the way, a hot take on this too, four bids, only one per conference. Sorry, go fuck yourself. That's the way that it should be. Only one team from each Power Four conference gets a bid. That's it.
Well,
Have
here's a
that
way to
too.
here's the way to solve it. 16-team playoffs. All Power Four conferences choose the top four teams in their playoffs. Well, actually, like the NFL, have four teams that are rate the highest. Rate the highest in the fourth. Top four,
Sure.
and then that's how it works right there.
I like the idea of each conference can determine at the end of the season who they want to play in their championship game, and then then we go from there. The winners of those conference championship games go to the playoffs. I'd much rather have that, but that makes too much sense, and you won't have. See, you'll have dum dums like Miami who think that they belong in the playoffs when in all actuality they couldn't even win their conference.
Well, the problem is
How
the
can you
problem.
play for your national title if you can't win the conference? I don't understand that.
Well, the problem is you have Notre Dame who's going to cry about that because they're not in a conference, and that'll be the whole problem.
They should
And
win a conference.
exactly, and that's the whole problem. The athletic director is going to cry about saying if it's a 16-team playoffs, then we shouldn't have to be in the conference.
It's going to get fixed because there are athletic directors that are going to be they're going to be not scheduling Notre Dame because I think that's what's going to happen in the end. Notre Dame, I think, will eventually blackball themselves.
I hope
Billy
you're right.
Duke would be in the CFP under that format. Yep, win your conference. You don't like that? I'm sorry. We're gonna have these conferences and we're gonna have these conference championship games, and you're gonna expect fans and everyone to care about them. Then the conference championship games should mean something. You shouldn't be able to sit at home and play with yourself while two other teams battle it out for the conference championship, and you think, oh well, I've already got a spot. Shouldn't be that way. If you can't win your conference, you don't deserve to go to the playoffs. If you want to talk about it on that, we can get in there on that. So. Anyway, what else you got there, Parrot?
As for Miami, I mean, the only reason why they did so well is because their running back was like lights out. I mean, if it weren't for the running back doing all the work and Carson Beck doing so little, they might have been in trouble. And then the turnovers by Marcel Reed. But I mean, the running back is really what helped them win that game and the turnover battle. But I mean,
Sure.
I would hate to see what would happen without the running back, doing his job and then relying solely on Carson Beck.
Well, and Carson Beck looks lost. I mean that Georgia fans that were happy to get rid of him, I can see why. He looks like he's just lost out there.
Yeah,
So,
just imagine what happens if he's going against Ohio State, the number one defense in the country, and they stop the run game and then they put pressure on Carson Beck.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Cristobal's may call a timeout when he's not supposed to, or he'll have mismanaged the
Well,
clock, or
well, it's not
Mike
that.
Miller will get in trouble for doing stupid shit on the sideline. I mean, there's
Well,
a
it's not
lot
even.
of things.
It's not even that. It's just they're gonna manhandle Miami with the run game. They're gonna manhandle their run game, and then they're gonna have to. They're gonna.
Hold on, be quiet for a second. This is outstanding. Red 684 says most of these teams in the CFP era would not survive in the BCS era. That is impressive, sir. That is impressive. Very good. At Ryan Cawthron in 5N, or maybe he wins another playoff game. Clemson didn't win. Here's what you do, sir. I'm going to help you. Google is free. So what you do is go and Google Dabo Swinney's playoff record, which, by the way, the playoffs when it was like the 4-team set, it was the Clemson Alabama Invitational. Miami fucking couldn't sniff the playoffs. So let's do that. But then Google Cristobal's record and put it up against Dabo Swinney's record. And then once you see that, shut your mouth.
Now I am gonna switch. I am going to have to switch topics about Dabo. He is regressing. He is regressing. Especially when he says that I'm gonna do it my way, and if like the transfers are gonna come here, they're gonna have to come here first and talk about NIL later. That's not how it works. You have to negotiate with the players and then get them to come over with NIL.
He's won, so he gets to do that. He gets to have his own way. So there's that.
There's that, but the problem is it's not going to work out like that because that's not how you get high recruits and high transfer portal players.
He made the playoffs last year like that, so that kind of deflates your argument. But continue.
Look at his record to this year, and look at his record the year before last year.
They had a bad season. What's your point?
Look at the year, not last year, but the year before that. Look at the year before that.
Has like not learned how to coach.
Look at the year before that, 2023. 2023. Look at that record.
Here's what I can do. I can look at the past 10 years, and he has 2 national titles, 8 ACC titles. It's pretty fucking good. More playoff than Miami could ever dream of having.
He's not adapting. He's not adapting. He's not adapting to change.
I agree with you on that, but the point is that he gets to do that because he wins.
Yeah, but he doesn't make
it because he wins.
Yeah, but he's not winning titles anymore.
He won the ACC title last year.
I'm talking about the national championship.
There's only one national champion, buddy. Under that law, the SEC, everyone wants to leg hump each other over. Didn't even hasn't won the last 2 national titles. But I guess the SEC sucks under your logic, right?
Didn't say that. I'm just saying you're deflecting. You're deflecting. You're deflecting. You're deflecting. You're deflecting.
Deflecting.
Yes, you are. You are deflecting.
You said so much stupid shit that I'm trying to educate you and trying to get you from repeating things you've heard from other people and getting you to
no, you're deflecting, my friend. You are deflecting.
I'm not. I agree with you.
Dabo hasn't won a national title since 2018.
I agree with you that Dabo Swinney is regressing. Okay. The problem, though, is
I think he should retire in 2021.
And that's not true. He went to the playoffs last year.
Yeah, and he lost first round.
So what?
Against Texas. Come on, Texas.
Texas is one of the top 5 teams in the country, man. What do you want from them?
Clemson's just regressing, and it's because of Dabo Swinney. He's going to retire in 2021 when the transfer portal came out.
Anything else, or do you want to just talk about Dabo Swinney regressing after I already told you that, yes, they are regressing? What else you got?
He needs to retire.
Well, if he retire, he's 54. He's not going to retire.
He's not adapting.
He's not going to retire.
Well, then you're just
repeated what you said 8 different times. That's why I've nicknamed you Parrot. You're going to keep saying he's regressing. He needs to retire. Do you have any other thoughts, sir?
Yeah, Dabo's retarded.
Fuck off my show with that bullshit. Anyway, Big Barney Ross says the caller was conceived on a pull-out couch. So Makama says Rob might quit streaming entirely if we win the Natty. No, You're not that relevant, sir. You're a fluke. You know how that works. Anyway, if you want to join the program, we'll put the link over here. Big Barney Ross sending out barbecue sauce again. That is outstanding stuff. He makes it himself. So, Big Barney Ross over in the chat, we appreciate him. He does say the caller was conceived on a pull-out couch. Very good. There you go with that. Anyway, I have to, people say I have no accountability. I have to apologize to the Alabama fans because I thought Oklahoma was going to beat them senseless, and they have not. The Alabama went into Oklahoma and beat them. It was not something that I saw was going to happen. And until then, hey, you know what? I got to eat my crow on that because I really thought that Oklahoma was going to get that win. So congratulations to the Alabama folks as you have moved on. And a couple of other notes that I found interesting. I mentioned, I look back at Texas A&M's schedule. They have one ranked win on the season. Now, I'm in the camp of, I don't count it as a ranked win. If you play the team and they're ranked, but they end the season and they're not, I count ranked wins at the end of the season, okay? Texas A&M had one win over a ranked team, and that was against Notre Dame. So there you go with that. Keith says, how do we stop the regression? Go Tigers. Well, Sweeney's already said he's going to pull more kids in with the transfer portal. He needs to find and do what he did last year. Will Helt from Purdue ended up being a guy that finished, all ACC third team. Really, really helped on the defensive front. You got to scout correctly and get them right. I mean, that's the big thing. So there's that. As far as with Sweeney, though, he's got to keep making moves like that. I don't know if Riley's going to be there as the offensive coordinator. He may not. I don't know. I think the defense next year, the guys that are going to get drafted, Terrell and Woods and Barnes transferring. Hold on, let me help Makaima. I was wrong about Miami. You won your game. There you go. If Dad needs to give you more attention, let me know. So there you go with that. Anyway, back to what I was talking about with Sweeney. That's what he's got to do. They got to figure out, especially on the defensive side of the ball, Barnes transferring, and the word is that he just couldn't get into what Allen was calling as far as plays go. You never know what's really going on behind the scenes up there. It could be a mess. Anthony Eason says, Clemson going to the portal for a QB. Yeah, I think they kind of have to. I think that there's a lot of them that are looking and saying that they want what's the kid that lit them up in the Furman game, the 4-string guy or whatever, Denson. You know, the people think he's going to be great, but I have issues with saying, all right, this guy's just going to be a plug and play player, and he's going to take over for Klubnik and do and be the QB1. Yeah, Denson. Thank you, Thomas. I think that when it comes down to it, they're going to have to go to the portal. They're going to have to. So there's that. Army says, happy holidays, everyone. All the trash talk is fun, but I wish everyone a wonderful Christmas. And by the way, parrot's banned for a week. We're not using the R word in here to describe people. It's not going to happen. So parrot's banned for you're banned until the new year, sir. So there you go with that. I'm going to give you the link here if you want to join the program. We could talk about that. We could talk about I was looking at the transfer portal stuff today too. And, you know, every team could use another offensive lineman. But when you look at the offensive linemen that are in the transfer portal, all of them are basically like there aren't a whole bunch of 5-star players. It's like I think I saw the highest rating was like a 3-star player. And I think that what's going to happen, in my opinion, is that if I were coaching right now, what I would do is I would take my chances and I would get my skill position players, running back, quarterback, wide receivers. I'd let somebody else develop them and get them from the transfer portal. And then I would use my high school recruiting to get offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, etc. I think that's the way to go. And then build them from their freshman year on, and work to keep those guys there with NIL money and everything else. So I'm looking at, let's see here. Let's see here. Oh no, what am I looking at here? Later, okay. Tournament. All right, so when I look at the offensive lineman, your top player right now is quarterback Brendan Sorsby from Cincinnati. And then Dylan Raiola, Rocco Becht from Iowa State, Josh Hoover from TCU, Kenny Minchie from Notre Dame. So you got some players there. And, of course, Lagway from Florida. But when you look at the offensive lineman, and for some reason it's being silly tonight. What is it? Oh, here we go. So your top offensive lineman, you have one 4-star player, and that is Carius Kern from LSU. After that, you've got Ben Murkowski. Anybody want to guess where he plays? Yeah, try Connecticut. Same thing for Karsten Cassidy, another 3-star player who is playing at Connecticut. So with that, what I'm saying is that you're not going to have a lot of, big offensive linemen that are going to be in the portal. I think your high school recruiting should go to that. Walk It Off Sports with a comment here. I saw a stat the other day that said 90% of Georgia's players that played this year were all recruited. I don't know what that means, sir. Break that down for me. Anyway, yeah, Jackpot is under the weather, and he's got to get up early in the morning and do his tater chipping. So there you go with that. Harry Legg says UGA starts 90% recruited, 10% portal. Okay, I got you. Ohio State 72-28, Ole Miss 38-62. Luck is more of a factor. Yeah, that's cool too. That's a valid point there. So teams can get there with the transfer portal, and I think you have to supplement it. I really do. If you look last night at Oregon, Georgia fans remember Bear Alexander. Bear Alexander is a beast out there for Oregon right now. So guys can come in and do their thing and maybe not get a spot, but maybe they can work somewhere else. Who knows? All right, put the link out here if you want to join the program. Here it is. For those in the Callaway's Bowl Pick'em Challenge, the games we have are up through the 29th. I have not opened that up yet. We'll score those games before the 29th. And then for games after the 29th, now that we know who the matchups are, then we will we'll work on that, okay? You'll have a form up for games after the 29th is what it'll basically boil down to. So there's that. Let's look at the college football playoff, the schedule here. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. My bad. Ugh. So we got the the group of 5 teams out. By the way, let's make sure that next year when we talk about this, right? James Madison lost 51-34 to Oregon, right? That game was not close. So let's not have this group of 5 thing next year where it's like, oh, well, James Madison only lost by 17 points to Oregon. Yeah, Oregon was playing like the water boy and everybody else in the third and fourth quarter. So there's that. So Oregon and Texas Tech will be the first matchup. Oregon is a 1.5 point favorite. That is the Orange Bowl down in Miami. Alabama will play Indiana. Indiana is a 7-point favorite over the Tide. I will not pick anyone else over the Tide the rest of the year. I don't know what my thinking was with all that. Number 6, Ole Miss will play Georgia. Georgia's a 7-point favorite there. Kawan Lacey being out may seal Ole Miss's fate there. And Miami will play Ohio State. Ohio State is a 10-point favorite. That game is in the Cotton Bowl. You know what I'm thinking about here? That's a good point, too. So here's this one. Jay with a good comment here. He said he Googled how many blue chip players does Indiana have? The answer was 2. The rest is all 3 stars and below. Well, what does that say about Ohio State? Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not. This is a team that went toe-to-toe with Ohio State and beat them. But one other thing on the college football playoff, I like the idea of why is it that we can't have home games for the second round? Why not reward those teams in the second round with home games? I like, wouldn't you love to see a home game in Athens for, Ole Miss and Georgia, or Indiana's earned a home game? You know what I mean? But instead they're going to have to go on the road. The idea of the games being off campus just kind of takes away from the college football. What's the word I'm using here? I don't know. The mystique of it. I like the idea of having the home games there, but it's not going to happen. Too much money involved. But if I'm bitching, though, I would bitch about, hey, why is it that we played well and we don't get a home game? We don't get the revenue from all that. Ambiance is the word. Thank you, Paul. Money is the reason. Thank you, Cockaboose. Good point, sir. Big Bunny Ross is talking about a year's supply of turtle wax. Okay, terrific. Anyway, that's all the stuff we have this evening we can go over. If you want to talk about, the kicking situation yesterday was sloppy across the country. Miami kicker missed a bunch. I don't know what's going on with the kickers, but was it like Philadelphia had a bunch of missed kicks? I don't know. It was just garbage kicking all the way around yesterday. Jay says, I hope all 3 Big Ten teams lose this round. Yeah. So for that to happen, Oregon would lose, Indiana would lose, and Ohio State. That would be funny. So, yeah. We'll see how that goes. All right, the link is out there if you want to join the show. Seth says he hopes CGP gets well. And I am good. Jackpot, sent me a message. He just wasn't feeling good, man. So hopefully we'll get him back for our next show. We're not doing a show Christmas Eve. I don't think that's going to work. I got stuff around the house that I'm sure the wife's going to want me to do that we're not going to be doing a show Christmas Eve. But so our next show will be on Sunday. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I know most of you have. How about like the show? Yeah, we'd love to have that up there and help build the channel up a little bit. The Daisy Dukes let the Oklahoma kicker down. Army says having 50 Cent as a mascot didn't help Oklahoma. Bama is hard to kill. Yeah. But, if I'm Oklahoma, I kind of like the matchup with Alabama before yesterday, simply because you've already beat them twice. There you go with that. What was the other thing I had on my notes here? Oh, your favorite bowl game memories. We'll take some of those tonight, too, if you want to get on the program with that. Feel free. Your favorite bowl memory. If you want to talk about that, we can. One of my favorites is my wife bought me tickets to go watch Clemson play Tennessee it was just the Peach Bowl then. And she bought us tickets, and we were sitting right in front of the Tennessee band. Pretty funny. And then having the Clemson band play the Tennessee song. They were playing Rocky Top when Clemson was beating Tennessee there. The Tennessee band was pretty pissed, and we could hear them talking about it, which was pretty bad. Big Barney Ross says, is the winner of the Joel Osteen Prosperity Bowl promised a timeshare? Okay. Paul says, my favorite bowl memory is Shane Beamer making an ass out of himself last year. Army says, I'm a Bama fan, but I'm honest. We have way too many holes. Next year is our year when Keelan Russell takes over as quarterback. I mean, I think your quarterback is not your problem, sir, to be honest with you. I could be wrong on that. I just don't – when I see Alabama, I don't think of them as like this team just isn't nasty. Like, if you remember and like the 2018 Alabama team that had Quinnen Williams and all those guys on it, they brought a level of fear with them, especially on the running game and stuff like that, stopping the run. You knew going into that game you were going to get the shit kicked out of you. You know what I'm saying? And they don't have that anymore. I think it also has to do with the fact that they don't have that that punishing rushing game either, where, hey, we're going to wear your defensive line out with this guy that's just going to keep on coming. They don't have that anymore. So, and you're right about that with the portal. Then Alabama was a team that they had 5 stars waiting on top of 5 stars. I mean, remember that the 2018 team once again had Tua, Jalen Hurts, if I remember correctly, and Mac Jones. All 3 of them out there throwing balls around. All 3 would end up being a starter in the NFL. Billy says he attended the 1970 Cotton Bowl, watched Texas and Notre Dame, Darrell Royal and Ara Parsegian at midfield before the game. He said he froze his ass off that day. Very good. That's a hell of a bowl memory. Big Bonnie Ross says he's just here for the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. I need to see if they mow the field with weed whackers. By the way, quick note on the Pinstripe Bowl. Dabo Sweeney's run his mouth about, hey, we got all these guys that, they don't opt out and blah, blah, blah. That is not the case this year. Clemson's going to roll some guys out there that you have not seen play. And that's a fact. Absolute fact. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a long night for Clemson, to be honest with you. Anyway, if you want to join the program, have at it. They play on the 27th against Penn State. But then again, Penn State may come out flat. But, I mean, I don't know. I just don't see I don't think that it's going to be the typical Clemson bowl game like when they beat Iowa State, and Iowa State had all those guys. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that have opted out for Clemson. I've got the notes here. Let me look here. See if I can find them. So I know Barnes has already changed. 26 scholarship players are going to be out, including Khalil Barnes, TJ Parker, Peter Woods.
And not only him, homie.
Yeah, I mean, it's, 26 scholarship players. You're going to have a ton of guys out there that are going to be playing snaps. Here are the other guys: Avion Terrell, DeMonte Capehart, Jim Wade had surgery after the South Carolina game. Jamal Shelton. I mean, tons of guys that, But on the other hand, Beth says in 2004 they were there. Yeah. On the other hand, though, I think that, and by the way, if you watch this show, you would know, I told people this 3 years ago. If you are not in the playoff, your bowl game does not matter. No one cares. It's not like you had the prestige of saying, hey, we went to, the Outback Bowl and it was a great bowl at one point. Or we went to the Blue Bonnet Bowl or whatever. Insert your favorite bowl here. You don't have that anymore. You know what I mean? But you've got to look at it from the perspective of some of these guys that are going to be out there, though. You have the opportunity to get snaps for players that haven't played. And I think that's the way that you should use it. It would be early spring practice for me. It really would. I would have guys out there, and I literally would make it like a JV game. I know that sounds silly, but I could find out who is going to be locked in and ready to go for my spring practice, which then jumps into who's going to be ready for fall ball. If you're going to give like Denson at quarterback a chance, he should be starting this game. What is Cade Klubnik going to bring to you that you haven't already seen that's not going to help you later on? Klubnik's not going to earn anything going out there and playing in this Pinstripe Bowl. So use it for your freshmen. Let them play. If you've got some upperclassmen that are not going to make the pros, let them play. I understand that. But it should be a showcase for talent that can help you next season, because this season's over. Nothing you can do about it. Brock with a comment says the issue for Clemson is next year because a lot of the team is leaving and considering bowl. How bad this season was for Clemson. They're telling what they'll be next year. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Can't argue with that. Now, I do like the idea of having that game so you get the extra practices, but in the end, who knows? The lawsuit with Klubnik I haven't heard anything on that, so we'll see how that goes. If they get another year, who knows? All right, there's the link if you want to join the show. Let's welcome Tiger Red Devil to the show. Good evening, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
Well, Parrott, he shouldn't have said what he said. That was fucked up. But he brought up a good point. I'm worried about Clemson football, Rob. Dabo is hard-headed, stubborn. We lose a lot of players. A lot of high school seniors aren't all in anymore. We're losing a lot of them to other schools.
Right.
And he's saying stuff like they have to commit to us first before we talk to NIL. That's absolutely garbage. That's not how it works.
He's got one thing that I can say about Dabo Swinney is that he is competitive. I think we all can agree on that.
Yes.
If you watch, and when we interviewed him, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago? Myself and Lawton Swan interviewed him at ACC kickoff, and he talked about how he wants everything to be competitive, regardless of whatever it is in the football building. So it's like, if we're bowling, it's competitive bowling. If we're playing darts, it's competitive darts. So I do believe that he's a competitive individual, and once he sees the way that things are, maybe he'll conform a little bit, but I'm not holding my breath.
I don't see it.
Not holding my breath on.
People are talking about a transfer portal quarterback. I don't see that either. I don't.
He has said they have to do it because it's just math. He said they're going to get players, but I got nothing.
I'm just worried. I mean, if he keeps this up, it's regression. We'll just keep going downhill, further and further downhill. And then him saying, if you don't like me, I'll leave. I'll go coach somewhere else. Well, that's also not want people don't want to hear that.
Right. People don't want to hear that, but he says this stuff, and he needs to learn to take the pill. And you know what that pill is, right?
Absolutely.
Shut the fuck up.
Diarrhea.
That's what he needs to do.
Diarrhea.
He's got to learn to just shut up.
Yep.
The thing is, he doesn't have to talk either.
Yeah.
He's got the trophy case that he can lean on and be like, look, we're winning. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to answer stupid ass questions. He can give you the generic ABC answer and then move on about his way. He's earned that because he's won.
How long are we going to keep saying he's earned that though?
I mean,
you know what I mean? What if it's another repeat the next 3 years?
To be fair, his team made the playoff last year. I mean, are you going to fire a guy that doesn't make the playoffs every? I mean,
no.
Who's going to have the stones? What does Sweeney have to do to get fired? I think if he has a couple of 3-9 seasons, or he has like 2 out of 3 losing seasons, like some coaches, and goes 8 games under 500 in conference play over a period of time, that should get him fired.
Right.
That should definitely get him fired.
Some schools still don't believe in firing those coaches, though. Some schools keep them another year.
Look, you could be the optimist here, and you could say Clemson could have been in the ACC championship game if there wasn't a penalty here with Duke. You know what I'm saying? The Georgia Tech game, they lost at the buzzer. 1 or 2 more plays, they're playing in Charlotte.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the way I look at it because you lost those games. But I'm just saying there is the optimist side of it that says, hey, they could have done their thing.
Yeah, but Clemson teams of the past, Rob, most of those teams would have destroyed Duke and Georgia Tech. Destroyed.
Absolutely true.
And now it's Syracuse at home. Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought I'd come on.
I'm not defending him. Okay.
No, I know you're not
defending him, but he's put himself into Clemson's between a rock and a hard place right now because Dabo Sweeney is one of the better coaches in the country, and it's hard to argue against his resume. It really is. So.
Yeah, but he's also excelled with very good coordinators.
Ryan's not listening. He's saying I'm a spin machine. I'm saying that's not the way that I think. I said that is the optimist way of thinking. I don't think that way. Okay? If you dig a little bit deeper into Clemson too, their recruiting classes have dipped. Okay? They've dipped from, top 5, top 7 down into the teens. Yeah. And that's where the problem is going to be with Clemson because they're not getting the guys that they were getting before.
Right.
So that's just the way that it is. That's the hard part is he's not getting the talent that he got before. In the end, the national championship games that they won, teams were loaded with talent. Hunter Renfrow at wide receiver was one of the few players that played that wasn't like a huge draft pick, a huge, highly rated prospect. Okay. Everybody else were, 4 and 5 star guys. It's just the way that it is. So
and those players now are going elsewhere, and it does kind of scare me.
Yeah. Well, like Toriano Pride was at Missouri this year, right. And he played really well for Mizzou.
He had a good year. Yeah,
he had a great year. So when it comes down to it, you see guys like that going to other programs and playing really well.
Well, Darion Kendrick from Clemson to Georgia and won a national championship.
Yeah, but look, Clemson's not where they were. Okay. I still think Dabo's a good coach, but I mean, he's got to figure out a way to, and it's not even really a figure out a way. They pretty much give him the keys up there. If he's like, look, I need X amount of money for NIL, he can go and, speak at a few rubber chicken dinners in the summertime and get plenty of money.
But that's the thing, though. I don't think he
doesn't want to do that.
I think he has a problem with NIL. I do. He has a problem with it.
Brock says when Dabo leaves, the next guy may not be as good. Not saying that Clemson isn't a desirable job and they can make a big time hire. Even a good hire on paper doesn't mean it will end up that way. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
true. A valid point too. And I know that the adage is, well, where will they go from here? Dabo Swinney is a Hall of Fame coach. I know that hurts everybody's feelings. If he quits coaching today, he's going to be a Hall of Fame coach. And I don't think anybody can really realistically argue with me about that. But when it comes back down to it, there's going to be a drop-off. Do you really want to be the guy that replaces him? I don't know.
Yeah, when he goes, there will be a drop-off. Yeah.
Ryan says LSU and Auburn fired their national title coaches. They did. But did they fire coaches that won multiple national titles? No, they didn't. So, Billy, welcome to the program.
Oh, Billy.
Hi, Billy.
Hey, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Just want to throw my 2 cents. We're talking about apples and oranges nowadays, and the ugly word parity is what we see all across college football. And Dabo does not want to fully participate in the transfer portal and the NIL, and that's fine. And if he wants to keep his philosophy and stuff and people want to support him because he won 2 national championships years ago, it's a different day. It's a different day. And Tiger Reddell hit it on the head. You have to negotiate with these kids a little bit. If Auburn says they're going to give me $4 million, you really want this kid? Don't get on your high horse and say, well, I'm not going to do that, because you'll get left out. And then the results are what we see.
Yeah.
Right.
And the problem is right now is with a lot of schools, and I refer to Jackbot because he keeps using the term leveling up. We see Vanderbilt leveled up. We see all these teams, Indiana, and all the rest of these teams, they're taking advantage of NIL and transfer portal. So if you don't want to do that and you want to ride, yes, Dabo is a great coach during another era, but it's a new day. And if you don't get on the train, pardon the expression, you're going to get left behind.
Exactly.
So how long do you stay with this guy is a radical question. If you're 16-24 like the other South Carolina team is after 5 years under the NIL and transfer portal, it's time to go. Look at James Franklin.
Yep.
And the other coaches hiccup a couple years without using the transfer portal or not winning, you're gone. And that's also, just a fact.
You mentioned the coaches leveling up. A lot of that, if we look at certain teams that oversigned players and they stacked 5 stars on top of 5 stars, those kids aren't locked in anymore. They can go there, and if they don't earn that one spot, they can leave and they can go.
People used to complain about Nick Saban doing it all the time, and that's the process. Your scholarship is year to year, and if you got kids that's not producing on the traveling squad, the freshman team, and you recruit somebody else and you stack them up, it's called culling them out when you're trout fishing. You're going to get culled out.
Yep.
So,
I
don't even go with coaches because we went through. What was the statistic? I looked at one time we had 5 coaches in 35 years, and now we've had 7 in 15. Nowadays,
that goes to show, because if we're honest, and I love to troll the Tennessee folks, but Tennessee is a 1A job. You've got the money. You've got the fan base. You've got expectations of we're not going to put up with, coaches being 8 games under 500 in a 40-game stretch of conference games. We're not going to put up with that shit.
But we got morons up here. I go to Hardee's every morning. We got morons up here wanting to fire Heupel. He had the number 3 scoring offense. Let me finish. But they forget to tell you the 4 losses. Who are our 4 losses? 3 of them are in the college football playoff.
Georgia, Vanderbilt, Alabama.
No, Vanderbilt wasn't. They should be.
Yeah.
They should have been.
Oklahoma.
Yes, sir. Alabama, Georgia. So, but they're wanting to fire him, and this is sometimes it gets just delusional. This man brought us out of the doldrums.
It goes to show it's hard to find another coach. Would you agree?
But they're out there. They're just diamonds in the rough. You could look at some of these small schools, G4, and look at, their success. People make fun of Butch Jones and stuff, but they forget that he was at Cincinnati. He won that conference like 2 years in a row. So why wouldn't you bring him up?
But then we have the adage that, and I've always said I've liked Lane Kiffin as a head coach, but if we're being honest, we don't argue with hardware here on the program. Lane Kiffin doesn't have any fucking hardware as a head coach.
0.
Not as a head coach.
Not as a head coach.
He's got 5 national champion rings on his hand from being the OC.
Yeah.
Wouldn't some team like to have him as your OC?
Offense. We're trying, but he's getting paid to be. I think he's the highest paid coach in the country right now.
And recruiter.
You got to admit that man. He can recruit and he can use the portal. He's very good.
People forget where he was at when he won 2 or 3 national championships. He was at Southern Cal,
USC. Yeah,
and he was the head recruiter there when he was in Alabama.
We end up overpaying for some guys, and it's just hard. It's hard to find a head coach. So,
yeah, I think he's the hottest product on the market right now. If I was an AD, let's go get him. Yeah. He was a genius at Alabama. If you listen to Alabama fan, he was a genius offensive coordinator.
Oh, but he also, he had Kiffin there. He had Saban there to keep him in check.
Yeah.
So,
but you mark my word, the environment we're in right now with the transfer portal and the NIL, he's in his world.
I'm not laughing at you, Billy. I'm laughing at Big Buddy Ross. He goes, those rings make it difficult for Lane to give the old reach around. Very good.
Buddy Ross. But that school gave him $25 million to stick in his wallet, personal. $25 million NIL money.
But no, he also got $250,000 was part of his thing yesterday. I think I read that for advancing to the college football playoff. They had to give him $250,000. Kiffin, Ole Miss had to give him that.
He would steal from his mother and his grandmother if he had a chance.
Of course he would.
He's a snake. But he's that's if you're not and you're not here winning. But we'll see.
I just think it's hard to find another coach. So, but I do think that there is a way that if Clemson slips next year and they go 4-8, like someone in the chat said they would
time to go.
I think it's time to start evaluating. Hey,
we love you. We love you. You did great.
It's great. We want you to be an ambassador for the university, but you can't coach here anymore.
It'll be a Hall of Fame, but if you refuse to go with what's status quo nowadays, and that's why they're what's the term y'all use, getting left behind or what? Mm-hmm. It's because he's refusing, and I want to use the term hard-headed.
Yeah.
And he's stuck on this is the way I'm going to do it. This stuff about being committed to them and what was it? Recruit and get out of here. Get out of here. You're good, Dabo, but you're not that good anymore. If I want to talk to another school and then you cut me, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It shows up in recruiting. Rob hit it. It shows up in recruiting.
Yep.
And people want to scream about Beamer, and I'll go off on Beamer. Mm-hmm. He has not had a good recruiting in 5 years.
Mhm.
He's not.
But-
They're
But
setting
to
a
be
20
fair,
this year.
though, he's using the transfer portal, and I think it's different. I think he's trying to. He's so.
Is he?
Yeah, he has been. He's had top
Okay. What's their worst? What's their biggest need?
offensive,
Quarterback.
but you can't get those in the transfer portal. You know that as well as I do. We've talked about that.
They're there, but here's what you can do. Of all the offensive linemen that's recruited on other teams, you can go to 24/7 and look and see if South Carolina offered them a scholarship. And guess what you're going to find?
They did.
They were offered and then they didn't come. But it's all about what are you going to pay me? And it has, I'll have to give Saban credit about this. He testified before Congress, 3 or 4 years ago, and he called it. This is exactly what's happened. He called it.
Yep.
So,
Saban.
Well,
yes.
I agree on that, but I'm also in the camp of that I don't know how to fix it. You know what I'm saying? And the transfer portal has gotten to a point now where it's given teams like Vanderbilt and made them where they can actually be competitive.
Yep.
And
NIL money.
Yes.
So-
And the
And
NIL money, and that's and you hit it on earlier. Look at the last national champions for the past 20 years and show me a team that wasn't in the top 5 recruiting.
so I started in 2022 for Clemson. They were number 11
247.
recruiting. Yep. And then
Yeah.
in 2023, I'm just looking back this far. In 2023, I think they were 11th in 2023, and then in 2024,
They weren't that high in 24.
24 was the drop off year. 2024, they were 11th.
Oh wow.
So that's consistent. That's right there on par. But 2025, I hate this thing the way that they have the Amazon ad over it, so I can't just speed through it. No one wants your Amazon shit. 2025 was the year that I think they dropped off. But looking down, yeah, Clemson finished. Oh, wow. In 2025, they finished 26th
See,
in recruiting.
going in the wrong direction.
Yep.
That
And
is.
why?
And then
And
if
why?
you look at.
And why? Why?
It's the state of the program.
Are you just trying to be
Well-
confrontational with me, sir? I agree
No,
with you.
sir. I'm trying to explain to you why.
Okay.
He's not
You
wanting
don't
to
have
get on
explain
board.
to me. I completely get it.
Yeah.
In 2020, the 2026 class is at 19 as of right now. So, when you go from 11, 11, 11 to 26 and then 19,
But
you're
when
not
did
going to have.
NIL and the transfer portal come on? That's what you want to look at when they
Yeah.
started dropping off. I guarantee you they dropped off is when the NIL year and the transfer portal year because he said, I ain't doing it.
Yep.
So, and now you're stuck. But the biggest question, if I was a Clemson alumnus, big time donor, and one-on-one with Dabo, how come we ain't got a running back?
Because I can tell you.
Randall had a pretty good season. Randall actually surprised.
Do you really want to know why?
I don't want no third tight end being. Why don't we have a
No.
bona
Do
fide
you
running
want
back?
to know why?
2 of them were out for the season.
I'm lost.
Well, 2 of them may have been out for the season, but nepotism. That's why. He gave CJ Spiller the running backs coach job. CJ Spiller's never been a running back coach.
You need to tell Big
Yeah,
Barney
great
Ross
player.
what that means. Tell Big
What?
Barney Ross what that means, nepotism.
Big
It
Barney
ain't
Ross.
some religion. It ain't a
Yes.
religion, Big Barney Ross.
Leave Big Barney Ross alone.
He's over there.
It's nepotism. They haven't now he's sending me this. Travis says, can I look at you know what? All right, fine, we'll do that. We'll look at the Gamecocks from 2022.
I've already tell you, I've got it written down.
Of course you do, but not all of us have our little notebook there that we take to Hardee's in the morning for the old men there, Billy. Come on, man. Give me a break. South Carolina in 2022 was 24th. In 2023,
We were gonna support to me.
16th.
They were never in the top 10.
No.
Never. They
No.
didn't even sniff it.
More expensive.
Like the best year they had was the year that they got Clowney, and I think they finished like 8th or 9th that year.
Well, I'm talking
2020
about the Beamer years. I keep
Yeah,
hearing he's such a
2024,
great
they're at
recruiter.
22.
He's not.
2025. Well, but look, Peckerhead will come on here and tell you that, you know, that they've got the best wide receiver room and the
Yeah.
running backs room and all that. And next season, I'm not even going to say anything to him. I'm just going to let him talk because it'll all come back. 18th, 25, and then in 2026,
I don't know if they have
They're 20th.
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 and then they're 20th in 2026. Yep, there you go.
They're the best
There you
4 in the country.
What?
They're the best 4-8 team in the country.
And yeah, well, I'm not gonna
So-
say nothing because I remember when we were down bad.
Oh, I
So-
remember we were down bad, and we're heading in that
But
direction.
even the years you were down bad, you still had good recruiting classes, sir.
Was it Travis as a let's see. Beamer
Billy
has
says,
recruited Dinas, however, upwards mobility.
All right, fellas. Hey, Merry Christmas to you guys. I will see you after Christmas.
there you go.
Oh,
Travis,
tell me
I
how.
can make you
Clearly, don't understand how the rankings go. I know how the rankings work. They work for 247, ESPN. They're all the same. And this 5-star thing about our average stars, you got 15 players. You're in the top 20, and you're what, 9th, but you only got 15 players. You need 30 players. So I want to hear nothing about star average. That means nothing. That's just rationalization to
but-
piss poor recruiting.
Well, that's fine, but the national champion each year is finished with in the top 5 as far as those star ratings go. So there's some,
And they're in the top 5 in recruiting.
yeah.
So if you want 15 players and ride on the fact they got the best star rating, go with that. But out of the top 20 teams, there's only one other team that had less than 15 players, and that was LSU with 14. So
Yep.
it is
Well-
what it is. You know, you can rationalize and talk, but they're 20th this year. And
Well,
and
also, if you look at just where they were ranked, he was on par with what Muschamp did. Go back and look at it.
you know, I keep hearing
It's
this
all
stuff
power
comparing to
to
former bad coaches. You don't want to do that. That's just like the Clemson
I-
fans say, but we beat Clemson every other year.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying we were talking about his recruiting, and he's thought of to be such a great recruiter, but in the end, he's recruited on par with what Muschamp did. That's all I'm saying.
Hold on a second. Spank Mableton. It's hard to find an athlete in this day and age who wants to go to and stay at Tennessee.
That's not true.
Mr. Spanky there, why don't you go up Luke 247 and tell me where Tennessee finished this year?
Big Bonnie Ross, nepotism. Tennessee man showing favoritism towards a relative. He
There
knows
you
what
go.
that means.
There you go. You know exactly what it means. Exactly. I'm
Uh,
hiring my brother.
Well, I go across the street when he can go across the hall, right?
Yeah. Well,
mess.
you know.
Yeah, you need to have a certain percentage of your roster be,
Yeah.
4 and 5-star talent. But like we can talk about Clemson with the point of when they won their national titles, they didn't have offensive linemen that were rated that high. They had some 3 and 4-star guys, but the only one that like even sniffed the NFL roster was Mitch Hyatt. And he played maybe a year or two, but they developed that offensive line for the scheme that they had,
Right.
and it worked for them. So
We'll see when this transfer portal opens up. I hope South Carolina picks up at least 5 offensive linemen from somewhere.
Well,
There's
they've
gotta
lost. I think they've lost 2 of them
Oh God.
to the portal already. I think that's what I read. But to be fair, they were shit last year. Maybe they were told we're not going to be shit this year, so go on. Big Barney Ross with another super chat. Tennessee man only tips the cow if the service was good.
Ask
Very
Big
good.
Barney Ross what state he went to college, where he got his degree from.
Yeah, the wife says she was born in Kentucky, and Kentucky people cannot say that. So, anyway, Jackson Carmen was rated high. You're right, but well, he came in after 2018, though, if I remember correctly. So
what's the big dilemma now? And all these teams are losing people. I mean, Clemson's losing people. Tennessee's losing people going to the NFL.
Yeah.
That's just the price of doing business
You're not
nowadays.
going to have like the you're not going to have the relationship that you had with players because they're going to leave. They're not. They're coming in and they're not like where the tiger is part of their soul.
Yeah. Oh, I was raised in Columbia, and all my life I wanted to be a Gamecock. Those days are over.
Or my heart hangs off of that Tennessee T. You don't have guys that
that
like
don't
that.
mean nothing no more.
Doesn't mean shit.
Anything. We had a guy right here in my little hometown, the number 2 or 3 cornerback, defensive back in the nation, went up there, and Heupel ran him off because he let his mouth override his ass and started telling Heupel what he was going to do and what he wasn't going to do, or I'm going to leave. And Heupel said, "Let me help you out." So,
but you have to have the coach that's going to look at it and be like, is this kid gonna, if I coddle him a little bit, is it going to work for me? Or if I coddle him at all, is he just going to be a cancer for the team? So,
well, this kid was a cancer, and Heupel got rid of it.
Well, and good for him.
I think and the thing is
to a point though, especially with if you're playing like it's coming down the road here. Eventually, somebody is going to advise one of these kids, like on the opt-out front, you don't need to play in the college football playoff.
Right.
And it's going to happen. And people are like, no way that would happen. And those are the same people who were like, well, Rob, you're silly thinking the bowl games don't matter anymore. It's coming. And Rob, it's going to be one guy that does it. And then all of a sudden, everybody else is going to be like, oh, wow, he opted out of a first-round playoff game. I can do it too.
Yep.
On
your statement about bowl games don't mean nothing. You're exactly right.
Yep.
And I can remember, let's go back way many years. When did the bowl games ever mean anything? Because if you remember back in the day, you know where I'm going to say, national champions were already crowned before the bowl games. They were already crowned. That's why there's people saying, well, Alabama claims this, but they lost their bowl game. The national champion was already decided. If you go look at NCAA college football champions by list, you'll see they were already decided.
Well, that's when the writers would decide it too. And a lot of those writers were biased. And let's be honest, they were biased.
Yeah.
But I think that we were conditioned that the bowl games mattered because let's say, and let's go back to when teams played 11 games. Okay. If you won 6 games, it was a big deal, to go to a bowl game, but you didn't have 36 bowl games. You had like 18 of them or whatever.
Right.
And getting to that 6th win would show that you had a winning season and you could go and play in a bowl game and it actually mattered. And, guys would get hyped up to go and play in the Outback Bowl, the Gator Bowl, the Peach Bowl, whatever. And you'd have all these, and none of these guys opted out then, but it's a completely different universe now. And I was watching Memphis play the other night, and I'm telling you, if Memphis had their full team from the beginning of the season and they played that game on an October afternoon, if it was at Carter Finley up there at NC State or in Memphis, they would have mopped the floor with NC State.
Yeah.
but
Well,
they
that's
couldn't.
like the college bowl pick'em we got going on.
Right.
It's roll of the dice. We don't know who's
is
on
a
the
roll of
team,
the
who's
dice.
left, but we do something about next year about the G5 teams, or see, everybody picked Oregon. And if you picked Oregon, you lost because they didn't
I
cover.
picked Oregon because I thought that they would hammer them.
Yep.
And what did they
Yep.
do? They gave up five. Do you know they gave up 500 yards of offense?
Yep.
To a G5 team.
Well, who was out there? I mean,
I get that, but it's 500 yards. That's a hell of a stat.
Well, and that's just like through regular season. We've talked about this before. When you have some of these games, and that's what you might do is stop putting those teams in there with 15 points or more spreads, because you don't know if the winning team is going to clear the bench in the third and fourth quarter. I mean, I
think that now I've got my first set of picks in, but I may just for the hell of it, just pick every underdog the rest of the way. Not even look at it, just pick the underdogs.
Yep.
Because that may be the way to go. So, but anyway, Billy, are you going to see your son for Christmas? You heading down here? Or are you going to stay in Tennessee?
I'm staying here. I'm coming next year to the Tennessee game for sure. He lives there on Jersey Drive or something.
Gervais Street?
No, Jersey.
Oh, okay.
What was it? Why didn't you have a card on Halloween? He might have stayed. No. He was a problem child, Big Barney Ross.
Yeah.
He was a problem child here in town at the local high school. He was paid. Tennessee pays high school players NIL.
Yeah.
See, it started there, and it just went on up. Anyway, I'm gonna get off here. Let somebody else talk.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it, Billy.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all in the chat. You too, Big Barney Ross.
See you guys later. All right. Thank you, Billy.
Later.
All right. Had a good show. Appreciate you guys checking in. We're taking off Christmas Eve. Jackpot and I'll be back at it on Sunday. Thank you guys for stopping in. We'll see you later on.